And now I'd like to introduce our guest speaker, Michael Shmith, a well-known Australian journalist and writer and opera aficionado and expert, associated with us as a senior writer in The Age for many years. And I'd like you to please welcome Michael Shmith. Thank you.
Thank you and good afternoon. I hope you can all hear me. If not, shout out and I'll speak louder. Between the time that Rob Imhoff rang and asked me if I'd like to open this exhibition and launch this book, and last week when he dropped in to drop off the book and the exhibition plan, it was around 4 months. Now, I'd been away for most of that time, but Rob had steadily kept in touch in that endearing and exact way that he has, making sure that I could do the date. Yep, that was fine. Ensuring that if I wanted to spend the night in Ballarat, that accommodation would be there. Yep, that's good, except we are going home. Did I want a late breakfast, lunch, afternoon tea, dinner, drinks, 11s, all of the above? We had a good lunch, for which thank you. And I had the comfortably secure feeling that if I'd actually requested traffic be diverted from outside the gallery during the speeches, or perhaps he could kindly arrange for the sun to set in the east to avoid the glare, he could have cheerfully and successfully obliged. That's the great thing about Rob Imhoff. He's a man of the utmost grace and gentleness, but these qualities are underpinned by what I call a tensile determination. And that's the sort of essential framework that can support lofty buildings and lengthy bridges and enabling them to yield when required, but also to withstand the elemental forces of nature. Indeed, Rob is a force of nature himself. But he's not a Chrysler Building or a Sydney Harbour Bridge. He's a living artist whose work we see here today, and it's the very embodiment of photographic architecture. All the beauty and balance is out there to see, but like those buildings, underneath are the vital girders and struts and rivets, and in this case, the knowledge and the experience and the mind that works in unison to make a photograph what it is. One should not be conscious of these background qualities any more than you should think of who lurks in the wings during a theatrical performance. And it's said of stage lighting that if you notice it, it's not doing its job, as it is with photography, or indeed is in my field with writing. And the word writerly is, as far as I'm concerned, the very definition of style over substance. Thus, many are called to the art of photography, but few are chosen. The breed of real master photographers is a select one. It explains, in part, if you'll excuse a bit of necessary nepotism, why I had a father and I have a son who were and truly are great artists. It also explains, if you'll excuse some essential self-deprecation, why I'm nothing more than the eternal snapper. Clearly, photographic genius took a detour between generations. Rob Imhoff was a great friend of my father, Athol Shmith. And Athol and Rob not only shared a formidable talent in a variety of photographic fields, but a profound sense of the surreal, often manifested through acts of bizarre, incidental humour. On these walls is Rennie Ellis's glorious shot of Athol, Rob and Carol Jerems hamming it up at an opening at Brummell's Gallery in Toorak Road, South Yarra in 1975. Rob has Athol's glasses on and he's extended his front teeth halfway down his beard. Athol is moulding his own face into a plasticine caricature, and Carol is looking somewhat aloof but concerned, as well she might, given the company she kept. But there you had it, 3 particular photographic geniuses of their time, 2 alas gone to God, performing with the startling provocation of Arthur Sass's witty photograph of Albert Einstein with his tongue out. Somebody had their tongue out in that, yes, I think it was Athol. Let's leave aside, though, Smith and Sassy and Jerems. This day belongs to Rob Imhoff, and Rob Imhoff alone. And what better testament to his art than that of Mr. H.T. Moran, headmaster of Eltham High School, who in December 1966 wrote Rob's first ever reference. I quote, "His sensitivity to materials, his manipulative skill, thoughtful approach to design problems, and his perseverance indicate that he is well suited to the demands of a career in photography. Yea, Mr. Moran's letter, reproduced as the frontispiece of Rob's book, is all the more prescient about the sensitive, thoughtful Master Imhoff when one looks closer at the school's coat of arms, whose motto reads, "Deeds count." Probably sounds better in Latin, but it still sounds good in English. Deeds count, and they do. And the deeds achieved by Rob Imhoff over a long and successful career of photography and filmmaking are indeed significant, lasting, and a tremendous cumulative addition to the precious pantheon of images, still and moving, that define exactly a particular period of Australian life. Not only Australian life, but also the Kodachrome dazzle of a pre-digital world in which smoking was still a sophisticated thing to do, airlines were still regarded as a travel luxury, and security was so lax that Rob could photograph a Mercedes-Benz on Westminster Bridge right outside the Houses of Parliament. Imagine doing that in these terrorism-filled times. Rob's marvellous commercial photography catch exactly the hedonistic spirit of that mid-Mad Men world before whiteboards, bullet points and focus groups insidiously and irrevocably wormed their way in. But then there's Rob's portraits, that splendid Edwardian visage on the cover of his book, bearing what I thought was its caption, Robert Imhoff, photographer and filmmaker. God, was he that ill? Happily not. That hairy apparatus belonged to one Sidney Charles Bromley, English actor, taking in 1969 when most English actors looked like that, like a mattress with half the stuffing out. Or in stark juxtaposition, a 1986 photograph of John Howard, looking disturbingly dashing in dark suit with flashes of red tie and pocket square. He could have been a house model for Henry Bucks. And a few pages away, the irrepressible Peter Russell Clark doing his own Einstein with his tongue. And on page 77 of the book, opposite two of Rob's legendary Santa-pissing Christmas cards, hope there's no children here, a shot of Her Majesty the Queen, looking, well, rather radiant, and not obviously respecting the company she keeps on the other page. But I'm not going to bang on too long, because really you've got to have time to look around these walls and spend a while in Rob Imhoff's wonderful world. In his introduction to his book, Rob writes that he hopes his images may convey a small example of the wonderful, busy and productive life I have enjoyed as a photographer and filmmaker as I swayed my way through life. I love the idea, the buccaneering spirit of swaying, not walking, not strolling, but swaying. It's got real sort of movement to it. But Rob, these images do more than that, to supply just a small example. They should beguile us, surprise us, make us laugh, disturb our memories, provoke our memories, and more often than not, move us. And my only sadness is that one can be permitted a minor key on such a sunny C major day as this, is that Rob's health episode 10 years ago effectively sort of slowed down his photographic career. But not, as I'm thrilled to say, his active life as an educationalist, writer, muse, friend, all those things. He also remains, of course, the thoroughly good bloke that he always has been. Yes, deeds count. Rob's deeds, in all their many creative and persuasive ways, have captured history and advanced the cause of photography and the moving image no end. I salute you for that. It's therefore with admiration and respect for Rob that I well and truly declare Imhoff a life of grain and pixels open. Thank you for listening to me.